Hi everyone. So I'm really interested in the concept of parallel universes and alternate realities, basically dimensions and realities whereby everything is the exact same as this one, but instead of my phone being in this hand, it's like in this hand, and like that's the only difference in the entire universe when we're comparing that reality to this one. So it just really kind of trips me out. The concept of infinity itself already trips me up. Like, it makes me get a headache almost, because when you can't really rationalize something that big, you begin to question everything. I don't know, but anyway, so sorry, I'm referring to my notebook because I kind of planned this video. Yeah. So yeah, basically this interest in alternate realities, dimensions, something that I've had since I was really young, and something that I've always subscribed to. The belief was a belief that I've always subscribed to. Yes, sorry, English is hard. Is that I've always thought that if I could think of something, there has to be a reality where that thing is true. Because the mind is the most powerful thing ever, and I don't know, I was just always subscribed to that belief. If I can think of something in an alternate universe, that thing happens. So if I think that a table can be made of water and still hold the traditional characteristics of a table, maybe in that reality water is just solid or something like that. I don't know. Basically, if I can think of it, it can happen. So I've always been someone to think that way. So I've been going on to ChatGPT a lot lately. I don't really have many friends, so a lot of my time that I spend alone, I spend it with ChatGPT. It sounds sad, but really, to me, it's like no biggie. Like, I really enjoy learning about niche interests, exploring niche topics and things like that. So I came across this hypothesis by physicist Max Tegmark called mathematical universes, right? So yeah, so it basically describes that any universe can exist as long as it fulfills two conditions, right? So the first one is that it has to be mathematically possible and logically self-consistent. That's the second characteristic. Yeah. So with that in mind, there basically is an infinite number of alternate realities that are taking place simultaneously. Right. So let's break down the two characteristics. So firstly, it is the universe has to have laws, be governed by laws that are mathematically possible. Right. So it has to be describable by a well-defined set of mathematical structures. So, and that includes any mathematical structure, even ones that are very different from the traditional models or structures that we have in this universe. So yeah, as long as it could be mathematically proven or explained, it could possibly correspond to an alternate universe. So let me give you an example that I wrote down. So a universe whereby time has two dimensions, basically. So it's hard to wrap your head around that, but mathematically it can be proven and it can be described. So that fulfills the first condition of mathematical possibility. But let's say we also have a universe whereby pi is equals to not 3.1415 yada yada, but pi is equals to 3. Now that is against the laws of geometry, which violates the whole concept of mathematical possibility. So that reality cannot take place. So that really already differs from my initial belief that as long as I can think of it, it can happen, because it does make sense that they have to be governed by some sort of mathematical or physics structure for it to actually happen, right? So the second precondition is that it has everything that takes place in that alternate universe has to be logically self-consistent. So what does logical self-consistency mean, right? So sorry, my book is like crap. Yeah, so anyway, it means that the characteristics of the things that take place in the world must not contain internal contradictions, right? So I'll give you guys an example. Suppose a universe or a reality whereby humans evolve backwards due to different evolutionary pressures as this reality. So that's logically possible, because I just explained to you, there are different evolutionary pressures in that world, and as long as it makes sense logically, there could be a universe where we evolve from the conventional human being into apes. And right, so now the second example would be a universe whereby time flows forwards and backwards simultaneously, creating like this weird loop and disappearing and dissolving itself into itself completely. So that just violates logical coherence as a whole. Like I just don't see how that could be logical. And so as long as it's not logical, there are logical inconsistencies. That universe cannot exist, right? So there's a distinction here that we have to take in mind, which is something that I had to think about slowly to kind of wrap my head around. Just because something is imaginable doesn't mean that it's mathematically or logically possible. So I was someone that had the misconception that as long as I could think of it, it had to be possible. But not everything that we can think about is able to be justified or rationalized by the laws of math and logic. Yeah. So something cool to think about. And yeah, see you guys.